So well done. What are we willing to do to help people meet Jesus? What are we willing to do to help people meet Jesus? I might say that a few more times this morning. There's a line in that clip where the African lady, she's from Africa, Ethiopian lady actually, and she's in the scriptures where you see the Ethiopian lady. He has no hope but you. That's true for every one of us in the room. We have no hope but him. That's true for everyone you hung out with over the holidays. They have no hope but him. It's true for anyone you're going to run into at lunch today. That clip is from The Chosen, and it portrays Luke chapter 5 and Matthew 9. It's a great story, which makes great film. And when you see great film, you need to ask, what is this about? And who is this about? But to understand the story, regularly when we're watching a film, we're trying to figure out which character do I most resonate with. If you're watching Star Wars, you might feel like you resonate more with Han Solo. You don't want to be the leading guy. You want to be the maverick. Or you resonate with Luke Skywalker. Some of you resonate with Carrie Fisher and Princess Leia. And there's photos of you from the 70s proving with your hair that you did. And some of you are like, I'm Chewbacca. Can I hear your Chewbacca roar on 3? 1, 2, 3. Some of us do it pretty well. Some of us need some work on it, right? But who are you in the story we just watched from Luke chapter 5 and Matthew 9? Are we Jesus? Yeah, probably not. But you look at, what is Jesus doing in the story? Jesus is doing what Jesus does, right? That's probably not us. Are we just a member of the crowd? Maybe. And the crowd's always going to be where Jesus is. Unless Jesus is hiding or purposely leaving the crowd behind, there's going to be a crowd where Jesus is. Chances are, if you're here today, you're not one of the opponents of Jesus. Also, who are going to be wherever Jesus is. That's probably not us. Are you the paralyzed man along for the ride? Could be us. Could be you. Could be me. Or are you the friends that carried the man, carried the mat, and made a way? Could be us. Could be you. Could be me. We're going to focus on the friends today. The paralyzed man at least has a name, paralyzed man. The friends are anonymous. We have no idea who they are. We do know that they are men because it mentions in both of them, men carried him. We don't know their names. They're just anonymous people who made a way and carried the mat. What are we willing to do to help people meet Jesus? The passage is Luke chapter 5, verse 17. One day as Jesus was teaching, Pharisees and teachers of the law who had come from every village of Galilee and from Judea and Jerusalem were sitting there. And the power of the Lord was present for Jesus to heal the sick. Some men came carrying a paralytic on a mat and tried to take him into the house to lay him before Jesus. When they could not find a way to do this because of the crowd, they said, we tried. No way. Can't work. Can't happen. Sorry, man. You'll be able to listen. No, they went up on the roof. They must have seen somewhere some method to do so. So they searched something out. They made a lot of effort. And they lowered him onto the mat through the tiles into the middle of the crowd right in front of Jesus. They made a scene. They made a scene. What are we willing to do to help people find Jesus? They made a way. They didn't hope a way would appear. They busted through a roof. I'm realizing right now, we just busted through a wall. if you came in through the cafe way. They made a way. They removed obstacles. The obstacle was the house. It's too crowded. By the way, look around. The house was too crowded, and it's, 20 degrees outside? The house was too crowded. There's a big crowd. The roof is in the way. It didn't stop them. They didn't just try. Because they didn't act like many people act. They acted like they were owners of the situation. We value ownership here at M1. We're owners, not members. Members have privileges. Owners have responsibilities. Therefore, we're going to steward whatever God gives us so well. It would benefit him to trust us with more. I saw ownership multiple times today. One time this past week, it was Randy Lawrence. Randy's on the production team right now. Randy contacted me. Randy's the guy that's got the backhoe out there to make sure the parking lot was cleared off this week while Roberto was still recovering. And Roberto, Alexander, Arietta Ramirez, it is good to see you today, friend. Yeah. How many of you, Roberto, put your hand up and leave it up for a second. How many of you can physically see Roberto right now? Raise your hand if you can physically see Roberto. I just wanted to point that out. Hang in there with me on that. So Randy realizes that our pickup truck out there, the one with the snowplow on it, has had some serious issues, which totally corresponded with Roberto getting sick, which means they all got dumped on me. I'm amazing at mechanics. I go to start the thing and it won't start. I go and it's out of gas. Roberto, why'd you leave it out of gas? He didn't leave it out of gas. Randy finally said, hey, Pastor, can I help with this? I go, please. And Randy acted like an owner. I said, be a representative. Get it done. Somebody stole the gas. Legit. They drilled 2 holes in the plastic tank. One at the bottom to get the gas and the one at the top to vent it. Bad neighborhood, Pastor. Nope, bad location. By McDonald's where people are coming off the highway. It's no longer parked near there. It's parked in a different spot near a light with a camera on it. But what does Randy do? Randy plows through and finds a way. Next day, I got a picture of the truck back on the church property. It's done, Pastor. It's going to cost us something, but it's fixed. This past week, also got another call, another contact. It's a good thing we were off this week, huh? Got another information. Hey, Pastor, freezer's dead. Now, if your freezer dies at home, it's a bummer. Ours, you can walk in. Yep. Who's running with that? Mark Adams, because he acts like an owner, not a member. When you care and you're an owner, you find a way. You make a way if you have to. When you don't, and you're just a member, any excuse is a good enough one to quit. Do you realize everything we do here is offered to everyone, anywhere, for free, without commitment? Everything we do is offered to anyone and everyone for free, without commitment, but it's not free to offer. Not at all. And it takes a ton of commitments of people to offer it. Andy and Ashley Rivnak, Brenda Medina, who I didn't walk to see who is in the nursery. Sheila Lowry is in a Kids Junior right now. I know Randy's back in production. I'm not sure who's back there with him. Michael's up top. Jimmy's up top. Ashley? No. Nicole, right? Yeah, Nicole's up top. Thank you. The people that are acting like owners. It's not free to offer, and commitments are required to offer it. We are here for people even if they will never be here for us. I'm going to say that again and make it clear. We are here for people even if they will never be here for us. Even if they'll never be for anybody else, we are here for them because we act like owners. Even if there are people here who will choose to continue to be a consumer for the rest of their lives. And most people who show up at a church are being carried on a mat, like from that clip and from that passage in Luke 5. They're being carried in because it's a paralyzed world. We are people who build mats and carry people. And there's no shame in being carried. But there's a call to be someone who carries. There's no shame in being carried in on a mat. But there's a call for everyone to be a carrier. Are you the one carrying the mat, or are you the one being carried? Not to be judgy, but to be identifying if you're trying to figure out if you're Chewbacca or you're Han Solo. Are you the one carrying the mat, or are you the one being carried? If you're someone who Sunday serves and gives, you're a maker of the way. They made a way when there seemed to be no way. We give and we serve for people who may never give and may never serve anybody. We make a way. When you walked in today, there was heat, parking, bathrooms. How many of you like it when there's a working bathroom? Yeah! When you walked in today, because we are training the next generation to be reinforcements, not replacements, there's M1 kids. And our children's pastor, Liv, is home sick. And there's M1 kids going on today. Because there's other owners stepping up. One of those being her husband today who's running it, Tim. There's M1 youth. There's music, there's lights, there's sound, there's a prepared message, there's a rehearsed team to lead you. If you are someone who does not have a Sunday serve, you are not serving or giving it, you are being carried by those who are, and that's okay. If you're not giving or serving, you're being carried by those who are giving and serving, because what's being offered is not offered without cost. And that's okay. No one arrives in the kingdom alone. I heard this the other day. No Christian is a grandchild, and no Christian is an only child. You got brothers and sisters. And some of them you don't even like, but you got brothers and sisters in Christ. No one arrives in the kingdom alone, and no one arrives without help. Personally, in May 1985, when I got saved, I was so on the mat, carried in. So on the mat, it was ridiculous. I brought nothing, and I soaked up everything. Even the first Sunday I was there, I was second row, way off to the side, pretty much where Nathan Story's sitting. And that's where I climbed out of and got saved and just kept going. I soaked up all the teaching. I'd never heard it. But it took someone who had a salary to be able to prepare that teaching. I soaked up all the teaching. I soaked up all the worship, and that meant choir, piano, and organ. And that's why I learned to love hymns, because that's all they sang. Oh, and we had this cool thing called choruses that they put up on a 35-millimeter projector on the side of the wall for the ones that we had it when they were right. They were never timed well, but you got to learn this is the day the Lord has made. It kind of repeats itself, doesn't it? I soaked up everything. I soaked up all the connection. I soaked up something I never had before in my entire life. I'm 18 at this point. Hey, you want to go to lunch with us afterwards? Sure. That had never been asked of me. Seriously. Didn't have any money. Instead of asking for doggy bags, they gave it a Mark bag and passed it down. Yeah, I didn't take any money with me. I was going to church. What do I need money for? They passed the food down to me. I had a whole new life. I brought and I contributed nothing. I was carried. It's okay to be carried. It's not okay to stay carried. Being carried is grace. Staying carried is stuck. Being carried is mercy. It's mercy. It's grace. Becoming a carrier is maturity. For me personally, it started with one-offs. I'll show up to work day, sure. Then I started helping out with youth group. And then I was in the orchestra, which meant third guitar with a piano and organ and a choir. But the goal is once you get to Jesus, you become a carrier. I noticed it this morning while we were watching the video. And I remember it from the scripture. When the guy is healed, get up, carry your mat or your bed, carry it. You're not on it anymore. You're not going to be carried anymore. Now that you've come to Jesus, you're a carrier. You're not being carried anymore. That's the goal of getting to Jesus. At some point, the mat you were carried on becomes the mat you help carry. And you may carry people here by your giving and your serving that will never carry you and never carry anybody. And when you do, you'll be more like Jesus than you've ever been. What are we willing to do? Tell people, meet Jesus. We value desperation. Nothing will stop him. Without Jesus, we can do nothing. With him, nothing is impossible. Therefore, we're going to stop at nothing. For all people to be deeply connected to him. Stop at nothing. Are you being carried? Or are you carrying others? If you were removed, let's say you got hit by a bus. By the way, get out of the road, man. Quit walking in the street. There's buses out there. But if you get hit by a bus, would someone have to step into your shoes to prevent somebody else from tripping or falling? Or if you got hit by a bus, would the church not notice because you're being carried? And it's okay to be carried. It's not okay to get comfortable being carried. We want to make a way for all people and for more people. We got two challenges: our capacity, seating and parking. So on January 18th, we've announced we're going to two services. The times will be 9:15 and 11. 9:15 and 11. Some of you are already deciding which one you're not going to go to because that was an easier decision than figuring out the one you're going to go to, right? 9:15 and 11. Pastor, why didn't you leave my service alone? Because we hate everybody equally. That's why. That's why. I wanted to get everybody mad with one decision. Was I successful? Yeah! Crushed it! There's a lot of factors in it, and it's not a science. There's no guarantee it's perfect. It may tweak after 2 months. We don't know. But can I share something with you that I got permission to share? Why we're willing to do just about anything to reach people. It was a text message that I got. Good afternoon, sir. I hope you guys are enjoying your time with your son. I wanted you to know my brother-in-law, who's a believer but doesn't go to church, said the Christmas Eve service was hands down the best Christmas Eve service he's ever been to. We value excellence, even if everyone's got tons of stuff going on, right? He specifically mentioned how good the worship team was and message. My brother also said, not brother-in-law, brother, also said that he really enjoyed the service as well. I know from conversation with this person that this brother is not a believer. And it was a shot that he was not going to show up. Thank you for providing an atmosphere. I'll change the word there, culture. Culture is everything we do and everything we choose not to tolerate. It's everything. Workplace has a culture, a team has a culture, a church has a culture. Thank you for providing an atmosphere where we will never be afraid to invite anyone to join us at our church. That's not just because someone got up with a microphone attached to their head and gave a message. We value teams. Saved people serve people. We're spiritual contributors, not consumers. And we're here for those who aren't here yet. And we have some obstacles that we need to remove for those not here yet. And if you're here, by the way, if you're here, raise your hand. If you're here, raise your hand. Awesome, you're also awake, good. If you're here, it's because somebody was a maker of the way and tore a hole through the roof before you ever got here. And they literally put a roof, perhaps before you were born. But they put the roof up for you. They were doing fine at the church on Glessner, which is next to the Dairy Queen right now, because that's where this church used to be. And in the 60s, they raised a lot of money and bought 10 acres, sold a bit of it to McDonald's, and then put the building up and left the comfortable building they were in. We value belonging. Found people find people. Belonging is the beginning of believing and becoming. And we're trying to create that church for the people that we're inviting, so what are we willing to do? I've got 2 asks of you today. Then I'm going to share a story. Ask number 1, will you move off the mat? Will you move from being carried to being a carrier? It's okay to be carried. It's not okay to stay carried. Specifically, would you consider, when we go to 2 services on January 18th, some of the ministries will tweak a little bit. The biggest hiccup for any church in America is going to be kids that Pastor Kelvin was talking about, M1 kids. I want to challenge you as we go to 2 services, would you attend one and serve in one? Once a month. This is a clear ask. Once a month. Would you say, Pastor, I'll serve in the service that maybe I wouldn't normally attend once a month to help carry other people? Because right now, if you've got a kid in Kidman right now, someone's carrying you. But chances are, you're helping carry as well, because 200 people in this church serve. Right now, my kid, he's 27 and married, is being carried by other people in that church because he can't play an instrument to save his life. But I know he serves in youth, and those youth are blessed to have a model of a 27-year-old married guy that worships Jesus with all of his heart. If you're already carrying people and already serving, would you let your team leader know that you're willing to be flexible with your schedule? Because the people this is hardest on are not me. I'm just going to preach the same message twice. It's actually a lot better stewardship of all the prep. The hardest people it's for are the people that are scheduling people who serve. That's the first ask. Would you move off the mat? The second ask, would you commit to attend the first service for 3 months or 6 months to help launch it? When Pastor Stan was here, and he walked us through some training. He said, if you guys go to services, you're going to have to request that some people come to the first service just to help get it launched so there's a critical mass in the room. Some of you are already going, hey, no way I'm going to the 9:15. You made that too early. That's why we made it that early. Ain't no way I'm going to the 11. Other people say, that's way too late. That's why we made it so late. Literally. And then the time in between so that we have time for service and enough time to make the changeover for parking and other things. Would you help us launch the new? Would you be willing to commit? I don't want to go to the 11, but I will for 3 months, Pastor, to help it launch. I will for 6 months, Pastor. I'll help it launch. You're going to get a text this morning a little bit before noon asking you just that. Now let me tell you a story. Here's the story. That's our attendance. If you can't see the date, this is beginning of 2022, and this is pretty much the beginning of December. The hiccups are not heartbeats. Any guesses what those are? Easter. Easter. The low spots, any guesses? When staff was speaking, that's right. No, I'm not. I'm kidding. It's not when pastoral staff was speaking. Usually bad weather days. The red line is just a moving average. What happens if we do nothing? What's the next 3 years going to look like? Do we need a crystal ball? Do we need to prophesy? We don't. It's obvious what's going to happen. It's going to stay the same. It's going to stay exactly the same. We're stuck. We're stuck. It was about, I'm going to guess, a year ago. Garl and Lisa Adkins can tell me, but they slipped into service a few moments late, not super late, and they liked sitting together with their family, and they couldn't find a spot to sit together, and they went home. Garl, am I making this story up? They went home. They said, it's okay, Pastor, we watched online. Yeah, they watched online, and they kept coming back because they're committed believers. They're not the target audience that we're trying to reach. The target audience we're trying to reach are people that aren't coming back because of that. Come on, man. Some of you won't even go through the drive-thru if you see 3 vehicles in it. Nope, I ain't going to that drive-thru. The other day, I'm trying to get to Lowe's to return something, and I'm going on Lex Spring Mill. McDonald's is on my right, and man, I go past McDonald's and I get stuck right in the driveway, so people can't leave McDonald's. Sorry. Light changes, and I don't move. What is going on? Finally, I see the other lane's empty. I pull out. Cane's. Everyone's backed up in Cane's drive-thru. There's places you drive by. Hey, let's go eat. No, there's too many people. Let's go somewhere else. Hey, let's go. No, there's no place to park. Let's go somewhere else. Hey, let's go. No, last time we showed up right on time, it was hard to find a parking spot at church, and we couldn't find a seat, and that was awkward. It happens, literally. And when we brought Pastor Stan in and we had some training and heard some other stories of people where similar things had happened, people came and didn't stay. Didn't stay. We're not stewarding momentum. January is always a stewardship series. We're not stewarding momentum well. We have momentum. The number of people who've started attending in the past 3 to 6 months is amazing. But apparently they don't keep attending. You can figure out 100 reasons why. But there's no doubt that we're continuing to hit the same plateau. Actually, not a plateau, roof. Hitting the same roof. Now, 2 services definitely has some challenges. It has benefits, too, but it's got some challenges. Splitting the service, it feels maybe about 2 different congregations. It's one of the reasons for the cafe overflow, so we can connect. Serving opportunities are going to increase like crazy. In some areas, that's great. We can get people involved. In other areas with M1 kids, it's going to be really important. My goodness, if we had to go self-serve in the cafe, we can still worship Jesus. But if we brought all the little ones in here and tried to have worship, it'd be a little challenging. And there will be, let me just say this right now, there will be some Sundays where we show up going, Pastor, don't look like we need 2 services today. Don't need 2 services today. And you'll be right. You'll be unhelpful, but you'll be right. You'll be right. And trust me, I will have already thought that to myself because the devil already would have told me. Oh, totally. There's risks. It's an experiment. What happens if we don't take a risk? Can we stay where we are and call it progress? We've been stuck in the same place for too long. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And when I was praying over this is the one that hit me the hardest. If you were God, besides having the Cleveland Browns in the playoffs this year, if you were God right now with no changes, would you bless our church with 50 to 100 people that need Jesus and need a church family? There's no room. There's no room. If we do nothing, we are hindering possibly what God wants to do. If you weren't God, if you were Satan, and you wanted Michigan to win the championship of college football, right? But if you were Satan, and you saw this, what would you want us to do? Nothing. You would want us to do nothing. And you know what? Nothing would be the easiest thing for me to do. I'm 59. Coast this out till 65. Retire. Say good luck to the next guy. And that's not a calling. That's a hireling. That's what a member does. It's not what an owner does. When we have multiple services, it makes better use of rehearsals, of preparation, of facilities. Our parking and seating capacity doubles immediately versus raising $3 million for a new sanctuary. That's a rough guess. You have the opportunity to serve one service and attend another. The options. Most of us in America love options. When you're inviting somebody, you don't have to tell them the only choice they have. You may not want to go to the 9:15 service, but they do. You may not want to go to the 11 o'clock service, but they do. They do. So 2 obstacles, parking and seating. The parking one is a quick story. I was leaving church. If you don't know, staff, when we get here, we take the worst parking spots on purpose before anyone gets here to save the other ones for other people as a model and mentorship to serve. So I'm parked way over there, and I'm leaving on a Sunday. I stayed at a meeting afterwards or something, and I'm getting in my vehicle, and I'm driving back this way because I got to get something out of the kitchen before I go home. And I see somebody who was at church that morning walking across the parking lot to the vehicle. So I stopped and make sure things are okay, because that seems odd. They go, yeah, normally I park over here, but when I got here, there was no more parking left. So but she normally comes in this way, so she went out that way, and she's walking back. Now, obviously, if she stuck around and everything, and she came early and she parked all there, she's someone who's probably committed there, right? But people that aren't committed, that are just scoping it out, how many little lots do you have to go through at a restaurant before you say, let's go somewhere else? And then next time you think about going there, how many challenges are you willing to overcome to get to someplace? In most cases, not too many. Now, let me tell you how I know this personally. It is a pain in the butt to park my large truck at Ohio Health. Quit getting sick and going to Ohio Health or Med Central, whatever y'all want to call it. If you're going to get sick, go to Avita. Can I get an amen? Yeah. Rant over. Rant over. Avita's got better parking, even if it is a mall-spital. That's the term I heard. Not original, but I thought it was awesome. Capacity obstacle number 2, seating. Thank you for the invitation to your house for dinner tonight. Let's assume. Thank you for the invitation. And I understand you're going to have other people there. That's going to be wonderful. We look forward to connecting with them. Sarah and I will be there 5 minutes before you. It's at 6:30. Sarah and I will be there at 6:20. We show up. You're already seated. And we're not really sure where to sit, and the only spots left at the table are 2 separate locations at different ends of your table. Would you stay seated? Or would you probably wait until your guests are seated before you take a seat? That's probably what you would do, because you are classy people. What are we doing? That's what we are doing here at M1. That's us. We're saving a seat before anyone gets it. Now, I'm not poking fun at these people too hard. Some of you are going, I recognize that jacket. You know who's saving those seats? People who are making a way. People who are carrying somebody. Because they put those blankets down and those masks. I don't even know if they read that Bible. They may just bring it to church because it takes up a whole seat. But they do that because then they're going to the fit team huddle, and then they're going to be at the door, and then they're going to slip in late, and they want to have a place to sit. But we're saving seats. That's a sign that it's time for change when you're saving seats. I had someone who always sits in the balcony down by the front row the other day. I go, what you doing down here? He goes, I'm just looking up there to see if my seat's available. Or if I had to go up there and do something. That's a sign. That's a sign. But we value belonging. And found people find people. But it's hard to feel belonging if you can't see or feel the presence of other people. So if you watch online, my mom does, she's probably watching right now, her favorite shot is not the close-up of her son. Her favorite shot is the greeting time out of that camera. Production team, if you're paying attention, wake up, production team. If you're the production team, shoot the wide shot right now. That's their favorite shot when they're watching online. Why? Because they realize they're not alone at the kitchen table. They're feeling the presence of all the other people. And there's about 30 to 45 on a given Sunday that are watching online. How does that change or make you feel at this moment? It doesn't that much because they're not here. What if I told you there's 300 watching online? How does that change your experience right now? It really doesn't, because you can't feel or see their presence. If I told you there's 3,000, I'd be lying. Be cool. But it doesn't change how you respond right now. What changes how you respond right now is what the physical people around you are doing. If you can't see them or feel them. Is it interesting that only about half of the room could actually see Roberto? So I'm going to walk you through another story. This one's called Goldilocks. Let me make sure you have. None of you have heard the story Goldilocks before, have you? You familiar with Goldilocks? There's this idea of, hey, this is too small. Hey, this is too large. But this one is just. Okay, you've heard the story. So 30 years experience of feeling a room and reading a room, standing in front of it, talking to people. So I never did a count on how many times. What's too empty? What's too full? For our culture, for better or worse, whatever our culture seems to approve of and like, or for a guest. 33%, 1/3 full, man, that's kind of empty. Doesn't feel right. If you walked into a restaurant, it was 1/3 full. Say you walked into Texas Roadhouse, which is a large restaurant, it's 1/3 full. You may go, yeah, we got good parking. You walk in, it's like, man, it's so quiet in here. It's too quiet. If our sanctuary is even 50% full, and this is what happened when we came back from COVID. We were in 2 services. We were spread out, floor, balcony. It's split. And even if it was 50% full, it felt empty because you couldn't see half the people that were even here. I literally had someone contact me, Pastor, I think they're all watching at home. If you want, I'll give $25. We can give away a gift card if they come back. That person, even though I didn't think their idea was all that helpful, noticed that it felt empty. So this was Christmas Eve service, 3 minutes before start. I was actually talking to somebody sitting on the floor, and I'm going, whoa, it's kind of empty. Ugh. It's so spread out. It's going to be hard to pass communion, actually, because we're so spread out. We may need to, maybe I should have shut the balcony. Maybe we should have went floor only for this. I don't know. 6, 7, I don't know. What should we have done? It feels kind of empty, but it's only about 1/3 full. 50%, if the room is 50% full, it only feels empty. What if I told you that what if we had this room a quarter full and a quarter people watching online? How would that feel in here? Dead. Horrible. Why? Because they're not here. Because we don't feel them, we don't see them, we don't hear them. On 3, the floor say amen. 1, 2, 3. Amen. On 3, balcony say we're here. 1, 2, 3. Amen. Yep. It felt different down here as soon as you heard them, especially if you're looking forward. But 50% felt empty. So on sabbatical, we go visit other churches, small ones, big ones. We went to Storyside. We went to the 3rd service. And as someone who does this for a living, I am scoping everything out. I'm stealing ideas, not things. Stealing from every church I go to. I'm not walking out with their pulpit table, all right? Service starts. Music's going. I look around. It's 1/3 full. Guaranteed 1/3. I can read a room. It's 1/3 full. Doesn't feel empty, though, once everyone stood. When they were all seated, it looked empty. Once everyone stood, it didn't feel empty. And how it feels impacts how people respond. For better or for worse, it impacts them. 10 minutes into service, it's 50% full. And it's all on one level, so you could see everyone that was there. It felt full enough. And that's all that we're after. Full enough that if you're here, you feel energized by the other people. And if you bring a guest, it's not so empty that they're like, yeah, no one goes here. Why'd you bring me here, man? This place is dead. Full enough. Full enough. So until growth allows, I'm hoping growth will allow it within weeks. For the first service from 9:15, we'll be seated on the floor, and the balcony will be unavailable for the first service only. I hope that changes in 4 weeks. I hope it does. But if first service has 100 people in it, this place is going to feel like a cemetery. And you know who has the hardest part with it? Mr. Guitar Guy, long hair freak up here. He's starting out, hey, let's all stand. Let's stand and enter into musical worship. Have you heard that before? But there's only 30 people in here standing because the other 20 are out there, and 20 of them aren't even on the property yet. It's a horrible way to start, but it's what we have. What are we willing to do so that we can worship together? So if that's too empty, what's too full? 95%. That's too full. 95% is too full. And can I tell you, even on Easter, we're not 95% probably. Even if it's jammed out and we're setting up extra seats because there's little pockets of seats not taken, we're not 95%. Even those Sundays when I've asked, how many have room for 3 people to come in and sit next to you right now? And there's only 3 different spots that they could sit. On those days, we're only 85% full. That's the math. It's only 85%. Lost where I was. Like when there's 2 options for a family of 3 walking in. But pastor, if we had an usher team and squeeze people in, we could fit 3 or 5% more people in. You're right. It's true. Or we could double our capacity by adding another service. What feels just right, according to this guy? About 70%. About 70%. 70%, most people feel comfortable. And we will adjust our seating, our chairs, our options, balcony overflow, and future service times to aim for about 70% full. Full enough to have the right atmosphere and energy, but space enough that you can simply walk in and find a spot to sit with the 2, 3, or 4 people you came with. If you're coming in by yourself, there's an easy seat to find. It's usually right next to Sarah and I. Unless there's a really sharp-dressed black man there. His name is Michael Phelps. That is his real name. That's my neighbor. He's awesome. Be sure to say hi to Michael. We value desperation. Nothing's going to stop him. And apart from Jesus, we can do nothing. But with him, nothing's impossible, so we're going to stop at nothing. Story number 3. Let's say we're going to a stadium event. Who did the Browns play today? Bengals. Where's the game? Cincinnati. Let's say you got tickets to the Cincinnati Bengals game. Sorry, by the way, if you do. And you're going to a stadium event. Or you got plane tickets, and you're going to fly somewhere. What do you expect? Inconvenience. Parking inconvenience. Seating inconvenience. Security inconvenience. You do not expect it to be easy, but you'll go, not regularly. What do you also not expect? You don't expect that when you find your seat, there's going to be an empty one on this side and an empty one on the other side of your group. You're not expecting that. What you're expecting is, I hope there's no one in the middle row. Some of you have prayed for that before. I don't pray that. I pray, Lord, may no one be sitting in the exit row. And I will volunteer for the exit row. When you go to buy not used ticket, but a resale ticket, aisle seats cost more because they're more comfortable. Now, next Sunday, walk into our service. Walk in late. Or walk in right on time. Walk in with 3 friends. Walk in like you've never been here before and you don't know where to go or what to do. Walk in being told where you can sit. Walk in making a 50-50 shot whether you should go up or down and knowing that there's a good chance you might be wrong. And then make another 50-50 shot on the floor whether you should go right or left, and there's a good chance you might be wrong. Walk in and go, the only seats I see open are the front row, and be the guest. That's not how we want to be treating our guests. If a family of 3 or 4 walk in, we want them to go floor or balcony and be able to walk in any of our sanctuary doors and be able to simply see, hey, there's a spot we can sit. There's a spot we can sit. Hey, can the 3 of us sit there? Let's make that answer to that question a yes. What is it right now for many people? Sorry. Already taken. Spoken for. Unavailable. No, Bibles and coats are already on it. Yes, but first let me move some other people around. If I walk in and you have to move other people around for me, I was unexpected. And I feel like an obstacle and an interruption. No one who walks into our church should feel that way. If they need to on Mother's Day or Easter, then we accommodate it the best we can, and we add a third service if we have to. Because we'll do whatever it takes for all people to be connected to him. The only obstacle should be the cross. That's the only obstacle. Caleb, can you bring your team up? Because it's going to make me go faster. Thank you. So parking and seating can't be obstacles anymore. We're adding a service. We're adapting our seating options. January 18th, 9:15 and 11. What are we willing to do? So the asks are simple. Would you commit to attend the first service for 3 months or 6 months? Some of you are going, I don't got to commit. I've been waiting for an early service. Super. Help us launch the new. If you're already someone who carries a mat and you're a maker of the way, would you let your team, and we're going to send a text out, actually in about 10 minutes, that if you're on the list, you'll get the text where you can give us your responses on this. Would you let your team leader know, I can serve in first service if you need me? Would you let your team lead know, before they have to ask, would you let your team lead know, I can be flexible with my serving schedule. You can move me around as you need to. I can serve more if you need me to. And if you don't have a Sunday serve, not for the sake of the church, but for the sake of the gospel and the people that aren't here yet, would you move from your mat from being carried? And would you be someone who carries people? Would you ask yourself, what are we willing to do to help people meet Jesus? Specific ask, one Sunday a month. Would you be willing to serve in M1 kids, hold babies, or make sure 2-year-olds don't burn the place down? You're not leading the room, you're support staff. You're a physical presence that's helping and being directed. You don't have to prepare a curriculum. You got to be there on time, be dependable, pass the background check, all that kind of fun stuff, right? The best is yet to come. I'm totally convinced of that. The best is yet to come. But some things will need to be left in the past if we're going to move forward. That works for us individually, and that works for us as a church. Stand with me, would you?